Have to behave a little bit more.
Yeah, and we are live right now.
We are live.
We're absolutely live. So, hey, everybody. This is Heather Cook, and we are live at Las Vegas from the M365 Community Conference. And I wanted to sit down with a couple of my favorite people. And also, I have a podcast called Mavens, Do It Better. And I have about 100 episodes out in the world, and it's been on a little bit of a hiatus. And I thought, what a better way to kick off the next season, but with you two and here. So you'll be the first one of this next season that I'm finally getting back to it. So Donna and Mary, hello and welcome.
Hi. Thank you for letting us crash your podcast next season.
Yeah. No, this is all good.
The kickoff of the next season has just begun.
Yeah, it's on.
It's already amazing.
It's right now.
Because we're here.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I've got a couple of Mavens in the house for sure. So I will let you introduce yourselves. Donna Sakar, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for letting me crash your podcast. I do lots of strange things. Currently, I lead an AI and Copilot and agents extensibility program, which means I help customers reason over their own data and say, is this AI thing useful or not? And until your data is good, your AI is no good. So that is the current thing.
Okay, current thing. Miri.
Aside from like 10,000 things that she does. Okay. Hi, I'm Miri Rodriguez. I am a senior storyteller at USPSI, which stands for Public Sector Industries, primarily government. So we're having a lot of fun in government right now, aren't we? Oh my God. Telling stories, all kinds of stories. And they are, of course, about AI in our product line and the things that we're offering to state and local government and federal government around efficiency, Copilot and agents, which is so exciting. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I believe that I met both of you actually in Europe, different places.
Yes.
Working on these wonderful community events that Microsoft sponsors. So, but I think it was at ESPC.
It was
for both of you, but different
we
years.
Together. Yeah, because if Europe brings us together, it collapses.
I know,
it collapses.
Right?
Yeah. It can't handle that.
So it's either her or I.
Yeah, I know. The three of us together there sometimes.
This might begin to shake a little bit. That's okay. I mean, just production's ready for anything.
Yeah, so something about people think, oh, you work at Microsoft and everybody knows each other. And a lot of us do know each other, but we often, even in the pre-COVID days, like like only know each other from being on site or like working conferences and all of that kind of stuff. And so, because we're always not in the same office. So I've met these two as they're both amazing speakers. I'm sure you all know this already, but, and Donna, you were just talking about, you're about to head off like later tonight to go rehearse for Build, right?
Rehearse for Build, yeah, which is our big dev conference coming up in exactly 2 weeks. And of course, there's 1 million things that are not ready and 1 million things that are ready.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I will be Build rehearsing at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
It's going to be great.
Well, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And Mary, you've been doing a ton of speaking on events and talking about AI and also talking about Impressa.
I have, yeah, Impressa AI, which is a Microsoft partner. So I dare say I'm probably the first employee and partner at Microsoft building my AI on Azure. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, so there's a lot going on, a book coming out as well, which I just joked about it, but it's real. So Donna is our forewords in our book and the Women of Microsoft. And then, of course, you close the book. So what a beautiful, just kind of full circle moment with these amazing women. We love each other so much. It's amazing.
It's
so yeah,
awesome.
I'll be in Atlanta on Friday, and then I go to Europe. So
yeah, so busy always. Yeah. Let's talk about being an author for a minute, because you both are authors of amazing books. How many books? So there's a ton of books between you.
I think there's a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe 10?
Yeah.
how many have you done? I've done 3.
I don't know. I think it's maybe 7. I think it's 7. I don't know.
Does that count your
might be wrong.
nonfiction, your novels?
It's all of them. My novels, my non-novels, my
Right.
workbooks, all of it. I think it's 7. I don't know for sure. But I think between the two of us, it's going to be double digits.
So you did say 10. That's good.
Yeah.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's, being a writing maven, like putting your thoughts and your passion and your goodness out into the world. Talk about that. Like what inspired, like the first one. Let's talk about that. Like what was like, I have to get this first book out. Talk about that a little bit, Donna.
So the first book I had to get out there was to solve my own problem because I like to solve problems at scale. So one thing that kept happening was I had a whole bunch of information on how to succeed in a career in tech, being a technical person.
Yeah.
Especially when you're earlier, right? Early phases. And there's just a whole bunch of unwritten rules that nobody tells you. And if you're lucky enough to have a really good manager, mentor, coach, something like that, great. But most people don't have that. So what I did was I took up all of the advice that I'd been given because I'm extremely nosy. And extremely nosy. And I took up all the advice that I'd been given by my sponsors, mentors, seniors, etc., wrote it all down in a big OneNote. And I just started sending it to people. Whenever they asked me for advice, I'm like, read the OneNote. And finally, one of my mentees said, have you thought maybe writing a book instead of a OneNote? I'm like, oh, a book instead of a OneNote. This is a revolutionary piece of technology I've never thought of. So my first one was that. It was career advice. This is like 2014, okay? It was not recent. It was career advice on how to succeed, but also thrive in tech and have a long-lasting career. Yeah. So it was solving my own unique problem from probably my decade in being in tech at the time, and to solve for the next generation so they can have new problems. I didn't want them to have the exact same problems I had.
Yeah, fair enough.
Can I just say, one thing, Donna, that I've always loved about you. Before we met, when I got to campus, because I was living in Miami, then I went to Seattle. When you say you live in Miami or never go to Seattle, then you end up in Seattle anyway. Right? So I was there. Yep. And then people were like, you need to meet Donna. You meet Donna. I'm like, who is this Donna? Like, why are people telling me to meet this Donna? And it was immediate. The minute we had coffee, I think it was a main campus, and sat down with you, and that's who you are. You're always like, let me just give you something to go and do to make yourself better. And it's just, I was so, because a lot of people would just meet each other and it's like, okay, cool, it's great, let's have a drink. But you were just like, here's some things, and here, go do the thing. And I was like, oh, I have homework. Thank you. I have homework. And I walked away with homework. And I did it. My homework. And so I just love that about you.
Oh, thank you.
And so that book, I mean, that very first thing is it's who you are. You are someone who is always extending yourself through your experiences. And I think that's why you're so loved in the community.
Oh, that is very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, full on. I mean, she rolled up in my Twitter DMs and was like,
Oh, really?
literally,
Oh,
literally.
Okay.
It was,
that story
we'd
then.
met and everything.
Yeah,
but
we'd met. We'd
Oh,
met in
you
Europe.
and Matt. Okay.
We'd met in
Yeah.
Europe. We'd met in Europe. We did a Women Who Tech lunch together.
Yep.
Right?
Oh,
Yep.
yes. I
'Cause
love
you both
that
did.
lunch.
You both have
Oh, we
keynoted
did.
that
We
lunch
keynoted that
at
lunch.
ESPC.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
We'd done a lunch
that.
together, and I was so impressed by Heather because she was so leaned into the community.
Yes.
She's like, we have to do this for community. She actually fought to get the lunch. She got the sponsor for the lunch. She got people invited. It did not used to be a thing at ESPC, but Heather made it a thing.
We originated that at ESPC and a few other events too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
the producers are awesome.
Heather's been making this diversity and tech and inclusion lunch for, I don't know, 10 years at this point. But I was so impressed by how you managed to make that a thing in the middle of this corporate, this is a long dang time ago where no one understood the importance of inclusion. We didn't have that language back in the day. We didn't have 10 years ago. Right. But I was so impressed that one day a job opened up that I vacated. And I'm like, I know exactly who I want to do this job.
Yep. Yeah, and she was like, literally, yo, you need to come work on the
Come
Power
do this
Platform
thing.
team. And I was
Yeah.
like,
She gave you homework.
Okay, it was homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So thank you for that,
course.
because that's the reason I'm back at Microsoft as a full-time employee.
And I'm so glad. We're so glad.
Totally. Yeah. No, it's super cool. So yeah, Mary. So your book. Talk
Yes.
about your.
So
first-
unlike Donna, who gives people homework, I was just like, I don't need to write a book. I do writing for a living, and so I was actually in London, and it was, I was giving a speech about storytelling. So what happened in my space was I went to do storytelling in engineering, which is now Microsoft Digital, and I am not an engineer. So it was innovative because they were bringing people like me who comes from a comms background. We are in tech, we're techie in that sense, but I'm not a dev. And we were talking about how, as a customer zero, we were taking our on-premises to the cloud, and that was, I'm like, oh, I can absolutely do this. I got this. I know I'm gonna nail this. And it was like the universe was like, hell no, you don't got this, and you know nothing about this. And so I was like, holy crap, they're gonna fire me. I'm like, don't unpack the bags. They're sending us back to Miami. And so I had 3 months of like really unlearning, because when you're in the dev space, you get to know them a lot more personally and understand their space. It was imminent for me to know that while we were going through a digital transformation within Microsoft, they were going through a personal transformation as devs, as creators, because they were building something they had never built before, and they were essentially evolving their own roles. They're becoming cloud engineers. That didn't even exist.
Nope.
So they're scared, and they're like, what's going to happen when we get there? You know what I mean? Like, they're building this thing.
Do we have jobs at the end of this?
What happens after? And I think it's actually, think when we're thinking about this today as AI, we're
Exactly
thinking those
the
very same thing.
Same conversation.
Yeah. So those stories, I had to crack those stories, and I couldn't for like 3 months. And so then I did. I actually took my capstone project because I was like, I either get fired or like break this thing. And I did. I became, everybody started talking about those stories that we were telling in Microsoft Digital. And then I was traveling and sharing with people how to do it, not with the intent of like giving homework to people like Donna, but just like sharing. And then the Kogan Page, the publisher, came to me and they're like, hey, you need to like scale this. And I was like, oh, I do? I have to scale this? And he's like, yeah, you need to write a book about it. And I was like,
tell more than the 100 people in this room.
Right.
You have to tell
And so
millions of people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so I was invited. I was very lucky because I didn't have to pitch or anything. It was just a process that I just got handed this opportunity. And that, to me, beyond the opportunity to speak about storytelling, brand storytelling, it really made me realize how important it is for women specifically to amplify their voices.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think our own network is just enough, and believe me, it's not. Like, we need to amplify our own voices and find our voices. A lot of times we don't even have it in the space. So that was, to me, a personal lesson of don't say no to these opportunities. They really, scaling is big. Scaling is important.
Scaling is important. But, the thing you did, Miri, was you were a translator, where you were taking things that devs know, and we speak a language that is really strange.
Yes.
And it makes no sense to anybody in the entire world except each other. And we act like everyone should know what that means. We're like, we launched this API, and you can do a call at 50 bits per minute. And people are like, that means nothing to me. And I'm like, why not? It'll change your business. They were like, how? Because you can now call it anytime you want with secure privacy governance. They're like, I still don't understand what you're talking about. And the thing you do, Miri, is say, and for a company that is small, you can now do this thing with your business, or a company that's huge, you can do that thing with your business. So you tie it to the results of a business and that translation activity. I think you need to be from outside. I don't think you can do it from within. You know too much.
That's
No,
interesting.
I
Too deep.
Yeah, I mean, we need all the different aspects of marketers,
Talent. Yes.
comms,
Right.
writers,
Absolutely.
the
Right.
devs, and everything.
Yeah.
It's that full circle that we
Yeah.
need, right?
You
Because-
cannot read
yeah.
the label from inside the jar. No, you cannot. And that's why it's so important to have the different, coming back to what you're saying about the inclusion
Yeah.
things that you do, you need different points of view or you're not going to have new solutions and you're not going to have new ways to talk about the solutions you already have.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the biggest problem.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also empathy. I mean, right now in the government space, obviously.
Oh,
there's-
no.
Yeah. There's a lot happening, and our agencies are going through so much.
Yeah.
And so when you think about these business decision makers, leaders, that they are in a public service space. They want their customers are constituents,
Yep.
citizens, and so we get impacted by
Sure.
their decisions and by what happens in the agency. So when we are able to explain to an agency why Copilot, when a lot of them haven't even modernized completely yet.
Nope.
They haven't gone to the cloud 100%. So that there's a gap when Microsoft says, shiny, bright Copilot, go get it,
Right.
agents, go get it. And then we're over here trying to still modernize mom and pop agencies. So it's really, that's where I believe storytelling and that skill set comes in, where we are able to explain, here's where we're innovating. And once you get to Azure, this is how much you can scale and produce and be effective and, bring efficiency to your
Yeah.
agencies.
And Microsoft brings people along too. That's the thing that I really, it's there's end of lifing of software and all of that stuff.
Yep.
But it usually happens for
For a while. It's like a 30-year process.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
not soon. Yeah. I worked on Vista, folks. So trust
Okay,
me,
yes.
that to end of life Vista, which we shipped in 2006, took till 2018.
yeah.
So that was not recent.
Skype too.
Skype too.
like-
That was
we had Skype.
2008
Yeah,
till now.
forever. Yeah, yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, right.
Because so much of it is like doing the deprecation, telling everyone you're doing the deprecation, then slowly deprecating and
And
so mu-
ensuring that everybody has the next
next thing to do.
generation. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, migrate to that. No, really though. Here's a path to migrate.
Yeah.
You have to though.
Yeah.
Because this thing is a security nightmare at this point. You should
Yeah.
stop using it. Yeah.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit about sort of both of your careers, is there a moment where somebody, championed you, helped you, was the sponsor, talked about you in a room that you weren't in, that you know about, that really shifted things for you? Is there
I'm gonna start this one.
moment?
I'm just gonna say
that one.
Donna.
Yeah.
That's an easy one. It just so it's interesting because I would get emails. I started speaking. Donna she's ahead of herself and of her space. She's just she's going 100 miles an hour all the time. I'm a little slower. I'm just kind of methodically looking at my space and going, where do I need to go? And there were times we just got emails and contacts from people. It's like, hey, Donna told me, and Donna's invited, because Donna's going to be here and she invited you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it was really, I was surprised because there was never an ask from me to say, hey, Donna, I'd love to be on the same stage as you, or,
Right.
I was always cheering her and her career. I mean, she's just an incredible human being all around. But she does exactly that. She's like, that she did with you. Hey, I remember you and you need to be here.
Yep.
And what that did for me is it reaffirmed that I belonged. And I know that sounds weird, but for a lot of women, and when you add intersectionality, when you're an immigrant like
Yep.
me, when you're Latina like me, when you add all these things where I came from, there's always this stupid thing happening in the background going, are you sure? Do you belong? And you have to shut it down and all this stuff, but it's still there, right? And so Donna always kind of confirmed that without even saying it. She just acted on it, and you're like, oh, shoot, I'm on the stage, I belong. So Donna has been a catalyst for me and for, so many women,
Yeah.
I could say, for the entire industry. So.
100%.
I think that both of you do that. Both of you are volunteers, right? I call myself a volunteer, but
Yeah.
you two are actual volunteers. Because Miri's not like, Donna, write a chapter for my book. She's like, hey, you need to write the forward. It has to be 4 pages, and it should tell the story. I'm like,
Yes.
wait, what? She's like, yeah, you're doing it. I'm like, who? She's like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're coming on my podcast. You're saying these words. And she's very good at saying, I know you don't have time for this, so I'm going to take the podcast episode and write a chapter on exactly what you said from her previous book on
That's it.
storytelling.
Right.
Because she's able to say, like, I know you don't actually have time to do this, but you already did it once, so I'm just going to reuse this content. and get you more exposure without you doing more work, right? And I think that's super savvy.
Yeah.
And Heather, you do this constantly. The reason, by the way, Miri and I are here, M365Con, is because Heather told us to.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right?
literally
I've never
made it
been
happen.
here before. I've never been to this conference. I don't think I've ever been here. But Heather's like, you're going to the conference. I'm like, what am I doing? She's like, you're talking about AI. You're talking about storytelling. Go say words. Like, but shouldn't we fill out a form somewhere? She's like, no, you're going to the conference. I'm like, oh, okay. Voluntold. Why? Because she wants us to have the exposure to her audience. She knows this audience very well. It's 3,000, lots of beautiful people. She's like, no, more people need to hear your words. So show up, say words, be you, leave. Right?
Yeah.
So you're a volunteer. Like, you both do this. And I think this is really powerful, which is you don't give people the option. Right? You don't.
True.
You don't.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
true.
ask.
Yeah.
You're not like, hey, do you want to do it? Because then people will, of course, imposter out.
Right.
Or be like, no, I don't have time. Right?
Right.
That's the worst, which is
Yeah.
like, no, I don't have time. It's like, no, actually, this is good for you.
Yeah.
You should do this.
Yeah. And folks, the reason I'm asking this question for all of you out there listening, that what you're hearing right now is also how we support each other, how women are allies. This is what it's about, because life is messy. Life is chaotic. The noise of the world is big. And having and curating beautiful relationships in your life is probably one of the top 5 things you can be doing with it. And this is the kind of thing that is so important. And please, like, you just heard this, this is a circle of people, and there's a bunch of other folks in it too.
Sure.
But we all work at Microsoft. We're all women that work at Microsoft, so we help each other, and that's super important, and I know that in our community, that's the case too. Like so many people who are our MVPs, our user group leaders, all of those things, like you all do that too. And you do that for each other, and you do that for us, and we do that for you. And so just more of it, please, y'all. Like, it's so important to bring other people along, lift the boats, give opportunities to others. Some of the things I've done, I love. I've shared the stage many times. Like Femke, who's one of our wonderful MVPs. I brought her up for her first keynote, and so I love doing things like that. I've had so many opportunities to do that with people. I know you do it too, and that's that important thing, because those next things help somebody get to their next level in their career, or it's a platform, it's a space, and so the reason I asked that was purposeful, because I wanted you to hear that's we help each other, and you all help each other too. And if you're not, you should be.
Yeah.
Feel voluntold.
You got voluntold. But okay, so the thing you're talking about, Heather, and it's sponsorship, right? Everyone's fixated on mentors, like, oh, I need a mentor, I need a mentor. Actually, you don't need a mentor. You know what you're doing. Between ChatGPT and Copilot and Google and YouTube, you already know how to do everything. You
can
really
figure it out, or
you
find
can
out.
figure it out. You can figure it out. What you need are door openers.
Yep.
The ones who give you opportunities. Again, like you're saying, in rooms where you're not at, because you don't even know the opportunity is a thing.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks a sponsor has to be some senior vice president of something. They're like, how do I get a sponsor? How do I get that vice president to sponsor me? Like, as soon as you're trying to cajole someone to sponsor you, you have lost the plot.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But the most important sponsors are actually people around your level who are doing the kind of things that you're doing or understand what you're trying to do. Having a sponsor who's 20 levels above you does not help, because they're not going to nominate you to be like the CEO of a company. Instead, they're going to nominate you like, hey, go say words on that stage. Go say words on this stage. Go do that thing over there. They're going to nominate you for things that you should be doing in the first place versus things that are aspirational. So I don't like aspirational sponsors. I prefer the real life ones, which is what we all are to each other, which are just replace that word with a door opener.
Yep.
People who open doors for you. And the most important thing, like Heather said, you could be doing is opening doors for people, because you actually don't know which tiny little action you take can completely change someone's life.
Yeah.
Like, that is just true.
100%.
And I will add real quick, allyship is
We
a
got
verb.
time.
Okay, allyship is a verb.
We got another
Yeah.
15 minutes. We're
Okay.
good. Yeah,
nice.
yeah, we're good.
And that's where, for me personally, like, a lot of women are like, hey, how do I get someone to sponsor me or whatever? And I'm like, first, you need to know, whether you're a woman or anybody, you need to know what you want out of your career, your life.
Right.
Because the minute you have that one opportunity, as somebody says, how can I help? You need to be able to tell that story in 3 seconds or less, and then make your ask. That's how fast that is, and that's where storytelling comes in as an enhancer to your mission, to your brand. If you cannot articulate that in 3 seconds to say, this is who I am, what I'm about, and what I need from you, you lost them. You lost the opportunity, and those opportunities in my life have come like a flash, like I'm in a room and all of a sudden this person comes like, oh, I saw what you're doing. What do you need help with? I'm like, oh, great. I'm glad you asked. Here's what I'm gonna, so I can create that platform with people that are willing to help, but only if I know my mission and my story.
You have to make it so simple for them to help to do that thing.
Yeah.
As soon as you make them work for it, they're like, I'll get to this later. They will never get to it.
They will never activate it. Yeah.
That's like, when people say, oh, my website's, donnasarker.com and I work on, like, what do you want me to do with this information? It's like, no, I would love to know if I can ever speak at your thing, or I'd love to know if you'd come on my podcast, or I'd love to know if you'd write a chapter for my book, like action verb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I spoke to the minister of the Senate of Italy.
Yes.
Because I got a random.
Just win a
I saw
humanitarian
that. That
award.
was so amazing.
Yeah.
That was so
crazy.
cool.
Miri literally, for everyone, Miri won like a humanitarian award in Italy.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I was like,
Heck?
what?
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like,
Yeah.
I
That's
honestly
incredible.
sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they send me the email. I reply like accepting it, and then he's like, WhatsApping me, and like in the middle of the day, and I'm like, okay, hello. And so we're talking, and he's like, I just want to know. He's like, we're doing Impressa, whatever. He goes, what do you need? And I was like, I need women. I need women for my platform to test the AI, to help us shape the AI, and to help us build the database, because that's our source is women's insights. He comes back with a list of like real stuff, princesses, like from 2 countries.
Like actual princesses.
Wow.
I'm like,
Ting.
I'll take your
Okay.
princess.
Princess DB.
Yeah.
Princess DB.
I'm like,
Yeah.
and so that's the kind of thing that happens in this. Like, I honestly didn't even know I was nominated. Like, I just get an email, and by the afternoon of that day, I'm speaking to the minister of the Senate of Italy, and he's asking, what do I need?
Yeah.
And that thing happens only when you know what you want,
What you need.
in what you need. That's
You have to know what you
have
want.
to
This
know.
is
and know how to ask.
Yeah.
This is
And it's
reinforcement learning princess feedback.
absolutely.
That's
From
wild.
one princess to another. I was like,
Yeah.
sure, I'll take one
Yeah.
princess. There's a lot of princesses here.
Yeah,
It's true. I love
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
For someone
It's like
put
royalty.
that on the Empress website. We're the only and the product that has reinforcement learning princess feedback.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
fun.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
Love
a
it.
great hashtag.
Yeah.
the acronym.
That is a very long hashtag.
Yeah,
But
it
okay,
is. Yeah, well, we'll shorten it with
Yeah.
the acronym, but yeah, no, and also from that perspective of like someone being able to ask them, and then it also like the spectrum of this also is, you can literally ask someone, hey, could you just repost this?
Yes.
Can you share this and write 3 sentences? Or here's 3 sentences that would be great.
Right.
Make them your own and zhuzh them or whatever, or
Yeah.
use AI
Yeah.
to do it for you. Like so those things can be that
changing.
simple.
Somebody can
And
see that,
yes,
that post, that
100%.
repost. It's an
Yep.
endorsement.
Yep.
It's an endorsement.
Yep, absolutely.
And somebody could see it and be like, oh, I saw that post, and now they connect, and it just brings another door. It opens another door.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it actually helps like the other person too, because they're now reaching their own audience with a different message that they may not have reached
That's true.
otherwise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's kind of like we had. I was so happy to have Vasi Jakal here, who is just the
So
CVP
cool. Yeah.
Oh,
of Microsoft Security. She's amazing.
incredible.
Okay, and so a couple of days before the show, I'm like, want to make sure she was here, and her team and everything.
Sure.
So, but then I'm like going through LinkedIn, of course, looking at stuff, and I'm like, is that Vasu in a superhero outfit? Like full on
superhero
outfit.
Good for her.
They did at the security conference,
RSA.
RSA. They did a whole award ceremony, and the entire team dressed up as superheroes. And I was like,
adorable.
she's my people.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Did you make her a superhero outfit for her speech?
Did not.
I saw you
So,
didn't. She's
yeah,
wearing one of
yeah.
her really awesome outfits. I'm like, I'm wondering when the
Absolutely.
superhero thing's going to show.
Yeah. Well,
She's interviewed for our book, so don't miss it.
yes, she's in the book too. Yeah. Yeah. And so Microsoft just turned 50. 50.
Fitty.
And SharePoint's going to turn 25
Unbelievable.
next year.
Unbelievable.
Azure just turned 15. SQL Server, I think, just had a big one. I think it was like 30 or something, 25, like that. So like we've got a lot of like
Milestones.
milestones and things like that.
Products are all middle aged, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, That's not bad. I don't hate this. I don't hate this.
I
Hey,
don't
middle
either.
age
Yeah.
is a good moment.
Well,
to
Good
listen.
moment.
They're
Middle age is not what
they're-
middle age
How
used
many
to be.
products do you know that have been around that long that
Exactly.
people still use?
Right.
It's
and
not.
and they love
Yeah.
them.
And they love
Like,
them.
just-
totally.
SharePoint 1 billion people after 25 years. That's pretty sweet.
I know.
Like keeping on growing every year.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I was like, SharePoint's, because I'm Gen X. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, SharePoint, or I was like, Microsoft's Gen
Yeah, Microsoft Gen X. SharePoint's a Gen Z. I
It's Gen
guess?
Z, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But I was like, oh, yeah,
I don't know
that's
about
kinda-
you, SharePoint.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. No, that's so funny. Yeah. What was your first conference that you spoke at? First
Microsoft conference?
Yeah, or whatever, anything.
conference.
Or just your first like big sort of
Like on stage.
yeah,
big
on
thing.
stage, big speaking engagement.
When was it?
Oh,
Okay, I have my story. It's so bad. Are you ready?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, it was the Urbana-Champaign, University of Illinois, Meet the Company Day. And there was an actual speaker from Microsoft, a real person who spoke,
Oh, wow.
who did not come.
Oh.
Because guess what? It's January, and guess what? There is snow. So they were stranded in Seattle. They're like, I can't come, but, I'll just send over my slides, and Donna can give the speech. I'm like, yeah, Donna can give the speech. Who's Donna? They're like, you. My job at the time, this 2006, okay, is not recent.
Okay.
My job was to go interview devs for Microsoft, for my team on the Windows team. And I said, you want me to give a talk? I'm supposed to interview people. They were like, no, but you can just give the talk so people know what to interview you for. Like,
Right.
what are they going to interview for if we don't even know what we're hiring for? I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people. They were like, that's wonderful. So here's a deck. Go and give the spiel. I thought, okay, maybe no one will come. So that was the first plan. Maybe no one will come. But unfortunately, at universities, when you give away pizza and you're hiring from a big old company from
Yep.
University of Urbana-Champaign in the middle of cornfield, a lot of people came. So we had like 700 people. And I'm looking out at people, and they're all waiting for me to say something. And I freaked. And I mean, I freaked. I'm like hyperventilating, cannot breathe. So I ran away. Of course I did. So I ran down the stairs. I went outside.
Oh, no.
And I'm like throwing up under the water tower, right?
my goodness.
And the organizer's like, where did Donna go? So now not only is the actual speaker in Seattle, but Donna's vanished. And these students are like, is someone from Microsoft actually here?
Right.
So she drags me back and she's like, go say words. And I fumbled through it so hard. It was a disaster.
Wow.
It was a disaster. I was like, my name is Donna. I work at Microsoft. I am a developer. This is how the talk was. And people are like, are we going to be as good as you if we join Microsoft? Because, envious. It was a mess. It was a mess. That's all I can describe. It was 45 minutes of the worst torture I have ever.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, the worst torture. And then the organizer said, that was an effort. And she actually gave me a beautiful piece of advice. She said, you're going to have to do this a lot, so get good at it. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, do you ever want to hire or grow a team? I'm like, yes. She said, get good at it. And she was a very, very feisty, much older lady. And she said, public speaking is a non-negotiable in this world. Isn't that fascinating? Me as a schmo dev, as a dev has never heard of this.
As a dev.
Yeah.
No one tells some random dev at Microsoft public speaking is some core skill.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, I'm going to, no, it's not. She's
Yeah.
like, anyway, but she was right. She was so right.
Yeah.
But it was one of those moments that it stayed in my head and I didn't do anything about it forever. But then I started raising my hand to kind of do the small part of the Meet the Company, the dev part, and then I got used to it, right?
Yep.
But it was terrible experience. It
Yeah.
was hideous. I would never do that again.
Yeah.
I can't remember my first conference. I do remember my first EBC at Microsoft.
Oh, okay. Tell everybody what an EBC is.
So it's a customer, executive briefing center.
Yeah.
It's in Redmond and headquarters, and it's basically it's a high level, well, it's not high level, it's high end for strategic customers to come to our campus, and really they're giving a lot of attention. They're brought to learn about our technology, and they spend a whole day out there doing tours. And so the EBC provides different speakers throughout the day to deliver some conversations around customer conversations, what we're doing, our technology. And I was invited to speak about storytelling. And it was a group from Germany, a very, yep.
We're all laughing. I'm like, oh, God.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, great, my first EBC, and they're all from Germany. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, in Europeans, like the laugh is that they don't necessarily laugh as much.
Yeah.
Well, they don't.
They laugh
They don't
internally.
expose any feelings. You're just like, this is like, you will get an email later on that how good it was.
Yeah.
but that's like later.
Maybe,
During
yeah.
the actual moment, you don't know how
got
you're
nothing.
landing whatsoever. Like just don't have no idea.
Got nothing.
Yeah, and so it was actually a pretty large size group. And I was there. I delivered on storytelling. They actually had a use case for me that I wasn't prepared for. They're just like, well, okay, put this to use. Tell me how that would work. And I was like, oh, I wasn't really prepared for that. But what's beautiful about those moments is that when there is authenticity in what you do, even when you're not prepared, you are, because you know how to navigate the work. You know how to navigate the situation because it's a real thing. You're not making stuff up, right?
Yeah.
So when I presented back to them in story form, they basically gave me a use case and they said, create a story with this. And I was like, let's do it together. Let's talk about this together. And they really came back, and it was I want to say that actually they sent an email because we helped a lot with the account. We actually were able to solidify and enhance the relationship with them as partners due to that session, because I was the last session, and they were able to see how it all came together on the one story.
Right.
Which to them, it was a really great way to say, this is how we like our partnership with Microsoft and why. There's empathy there.
Yeah.
They see us, and that's really important.
Yeah. No, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So for those out there, some career advice. We talked about, your first moments on stage. Like, I don't know, like you just gave some best, but give it another nugget.
A nugget?
A nugget. Career
Okay.
advice.
Donna nugget.
Nuggets.
So
Don't give homework.
No,
Yeah.
you're also getting homework, but that's okay. That is okay. A really important thing is it's absolutely okay to suck at things. That is by design. A lot of people do this. They're like, oh, I tried it. That didn't go well, so I quit. I'm like, were you good at riding a bike the first time? No, you weren't. I'm going to ask your mom. And she's like, no, you fell on your butt like at least 10 times before you're able to do it. There's no reason that should change in adulthood. It hurts more. You look stupider, you think, but actually no one notices or cares, honestly.
Yeah.
No one notices you failed last time. No one. Only you notice that. No one knows that I failed at speaking 10 times in a row until I got on my first stage, didn't throw up in the bushes, and didn't violently shake, right? It's your own personal, torturous journey. But I am a firm believer in do the thing again.
Yeah.
Like do it again. Do it at least 5 times before you decide to quit something. I've seen so many people quit because they tried once, twice, and they're like, this is not for me, and they quit. Like give yourself 5 iterations of anything before you decide to quit.
Yeah. Great. How about you, Mary?
Yeah, for me, it's really around self-advocacy. Learn to advocate for yourself. And that's important in many ways, because it doesn't mean, just bring the folding chair to the table if there's no chair there or whatever that is.
Yeah.
It really means that you understand your capabilities and you know when you're going to come in and how, even when people don't know them. And that's your response. Don't let your manager or the corporation discover how good you are. You tell yourself and you tell others how good you are. You find your voice and you do that. And a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, oh, does that sound like bragging? I'm like, yes, it is bragging. Go brag. If you want to do humble bragging, then add a thank you to somebody who helped you get there. But do brag, because nobody will know until that happens. And so when we think about skill sets, when we think about life and career, we put it all together as a story in our minds. So when I hear you, Heather, saying, I did that thing, and I'm like, yes, you did. And that to me, it's part of your story. You did that thing. We talked about how you enabled this luncheon. If we didn't talk about it, we wouldn't know that. People wouldn't know that. So it's really important to advocate for yourself. And also do it instinctively. There's a lot of intuition that we all have as human beings. It's not like you're going to walk up and be like, I'm a badass everywhere you go. But it's like there are moments to do that. So go with your instinct and also champion other people who are doing it. So if you see somebody advocating for themselves, give them a thumbs up.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is so
It's
hard.
very
It is
hard.
hard.
And it feels very bad at the beginning.
Yeah,
It
and
feels
then
a
you're
lot.
like,
You got to toot that horn.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
got
hard.
to do it.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
absolutely.
What's yours, Heather? Because you're going to have one.
Yes, I like
Delicious.
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 Delicious. Speaking of delicious, I saw this woman on TikTok the other day was talking about having a delicious life, and that you're allowed to have a delicious life. And it's okay to be joyful, and it is okay to celebrate and to toot your own horn. And I really loved that. And I thought, yes, because there's a lot going on.
Yes.
There's always things, in our lives that are a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say you never know what's behind somebody's smiling eyes. You don't,
true.
And so I feel like, to me, saying that word, delicious, being joyful, sharing the joy. It is okay to share joyful moments at any moment, because those things also may be the one thing that helps somebody get through a day or feel like they can do something, outside of some of the stuff that they're dealing with, So I think having a delicious life, celebrating things, definitely there. And just know that authenticity is huge. I was a theater major. I sit here in front of you doing this. I'm wearing a dress made out of my
Very
tech
cool,
t-shirts.
by the way.
Thank you. But it's allowed, or so like being able to show up as who you are. I have to say thank you to Microsoft for that. That's huge. That's a big deal, and not every company has that. And so being able to be authentic as well, and also being authentic regardless.
Right.
It's
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Authenticity is
Absolutely.
contagious, right? Because when people see you, Heather, standing up, being authentically you, they say, you know what? I said, I'm going to do that too. If Heather's doing it and she's so successful, I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
It really is contagious. That's why I don't like when leaders become leadery and stop being themselves. Because I'm like, you're just telling everyone you have to fit a mold to succeed.
Yeah. Authenticity
love
and courage.
Yeah.
Contagious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And joy. Absolutely.
Joy.
And dessert for deliciousness.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, for sure.
And tequila. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow, this list.
I got one more quick question for you, and then we'll wrap it up. I asked this at many of my ends of my podcast, is something that a spark, book, person, place, thing, something that really has seated you are in who you are in this moment.
In this moment.
Italy.
Something where you said, oh, okay.
Italy.
Yeah.
When I go there, my creativity just comes. I mean, I wrote 2 chapters of my novel in Italy on the day I arrived, jet lagged.
Yeah. Wow.
And Impresa was born in Italy.
Oh,
I went
yeah.
to give birth. I was pregnant. Went there.
Yeah.
And gave birth. to
Not
my
really.
beautiful-
She didn't do that. It was like, it's a phrase. Before everyone's really literal about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a spiritual birth. I've had a
Spiritual birth
hysterectomy,
of
people.
her-
It's nice.
Of her startup. Okay.
My baby girl.
Yeah.
So I always say, find a happy place and visit often.
Yeah.
Because that's where your creativity, whatever that place is, just go. And so place for me, Italy and ice cream. Those are 2 places.
No.
Oh, love it.
I love it. First of all, I second Italy because it is also my happy place. The thing I will tell you is this amazing author named Young Pueblo, which I think many of you know. He has a new book called How to Love Better. And it's all about how to foster deeper, more meaningful, more longitudinal relationships. Because how do you create relationships that last a lifetime?
Yeah.
It's with a lot of intentional work. And a lot of people don't know that.
That's true.
But it's a fantastic book. I cannot recommend it more. I'm giving away copies to random people. It's really, really, really good. So that's been in this moment, like in the phase I'm in now. I'm like, career, I did all the things that everything I wanted to do, I already have. I did all my side hustles. Now I just want to have better relationships with people who I care about that will last me the next 40 years. That's what I'm looking at, and that's it. That's all I'm looking at for the next 40
So
years.
are you saying yes to our silent retreat?
We're not going to go on a silent retreat.
Oh my
It's going to be a
gosh.
very it's a very talkative retreat. I'm down for a talkative retreat, not a silent retreat. Can you imagine us being quiet?
No.
Right.
7 days.
7
days. I know.
That's a lot of silence.
No.
She said no to my silent retreat.
Yeah.
No, I said yes to the delicious retreat, but not to the silent retreat.
We have to have a retreat.
We'll have to figure out
We have to figure out a-
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That sounds
Okay.
good.
Probably in Italy.
Yeah.
Happy place.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
I'll
Yeah.
trade ice cream for gelato.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, you two, adore you
Love
both
you
so much. Love you so much. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for being on the podcast and sharing all of this with everybody. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And this is episode number 1 of the reboot of Mavens Do It Better. So
Love it.
Saw it here first. So,
Thank you,
or heard it
Heather.
here first.
For having
Thank
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Yay. Bye, everybody.